Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'd like to welcome everybody to the council meeting of Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. And before the land acknowledgement, I'd like just to go over a few housekeeping matters. Could everyone have their cell phones on silent while in chamber? And when you do come to anyone who needs to speak during the open session, if you could adjust the mic so you're speaking directly into the end of it, as we're recording it's live streamed and we're recording this to be put on YouTube after for those who can't make the meeting today. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people and an ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the historic Métis community in Penetangwishing. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nations, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Treaties First Nations. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory and the treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of a shared, sustainable, and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can move forward towards reconciliation. Miigwech. Madam Clerk, may we have a draft motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 be received and adopted as amended to add as item 12C, Sean Binns, CAO, re City of Barrie Notice of Public Meeting pursuant to Section 173.3 of the Municipal Act SO 2001, C25 in respect of a proposed municipal restructuring, Monday, September 29th, 2025, 6 p.m., City of Barrie Council Chambers.
Thank you very much. I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion to go past 4 hours if necessary, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that Rule 14.20A, as per the procedural bylaw number 2023-043, be suspended in order to allow the meeting to proceed past the 4-hour adjournment requirement if necessary.
Thank you very much. All in favor? That is carried. Does anyone have a pecuniary interest to disclose with any items on the meeting? Sorry, Councillor Shell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Item 18A in closed session regarding litigation affecting short-term rentals. I'm declaring because I own and operate a short-term rental.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other pecuniary interest to disclose at this time? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, may we have a draft motion for the 4 sets of minutes, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of the special council meeting held on Friday, August the 8th, 2025, and minutes of council meeting held on Wednesday, August 13th, 2025, minutes of special council meeting held on Wednesday, September the 3rd, 2025, be received and adopted as printed and circulated, and that the draft minutes of the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee meeting held on Thursday, August 21st, 2025, be received, and that the recommendation therein per motion number TSA C 250821-3 and TSA C 250821-4 be adopted.
Thank you very much. I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. We have one recognition of achievement today, and it's Miss Sherry Noel, Clerk's Assistant, completion of the basic level course, minute taking. Madam Clerk, may we have a motion, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the correspondence from All About Meetings, Inc., re Sherry Noel, Clerk Services Assistant, completion of basic level course, minute taking course be received, and that Sherry Noel, Clerk's Services Assistant, be recognized under the Mayor's signature.
All in favor? That is carried, and congratulations, Ms. Noel. An amazing staff member who is Miss Positive and energy galore. So lucky to have her on staff.
Indeed we are. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Closed session, I skipped over earlier, but closed session will be dealt with under item 18 today, just as I skipped over earlier. Also, public meetings, we have none, and deputations, we have none. Also, I should have mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, Councillor Young sends his regrets. He won't be at today's meeting. We're now at item 9, identifications, the public. Is there anything on the agenda that anyone from the in-chamber needs to have moved forward because they won't be here for the full meeting or when their item comes up? Yes, if you can come to the microphone and just state your name and identify the item, please.
Oh yeah, sorry, my name's Jacob Bell. I'm on 17D for an encroachment agreement.
Madam Clerk, can that be moved up? Then we can we deal with that before the reports of the municipal officers?
We do have a number of these encroachment agreements, and so we can move them all up.
Okay.
However, we do have open forum, so
Okay. After open forum, we'll deal with them.
we can deal with it then, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're now at open forum. Madam Clerk, is anyone registered to speak today?
No, Mr. Mayor, but there may be someone in the gallery who wishes to speak.
Okay. So if anyone in the gallery who would like to speak to any of the items on the agenda today, if you want to, you can come forward to the mic, just state your name, and then proceed.
All right, perfect. So, hey again, my name's Jacob Bell. I live down on 9 Simcoe side, and I have an encroachment agreement up for council review today. When I purchased the house, I thought everything was sorted with that, but turns out my grandmother, something went wrong with her signature on the document, and so my lawyer reached out to myself and the township in March of this year to rectify that, but didn't hear anything back until I got a letter in July, just saying that the agreement has expired because it wasn't signed and that a new one would have to go to council for review. And I also got this at the same time as just the letter to stop Airbnb-ing my property. Now I'll try and keep that short.
Yep.
When I first purchased the property, I didn't intend to Airbnb it, but as a single person maintaining a house, when unexpected costs come up, like property taxes doubling, I chose to rent out my home. It still is my primary residence, and over the course of 2 years, only 4 guests have stayed. Very selective of who is, never had a complaint from neighbors. And so I got a letter from the township just saying that I needed to cease Airbnb activity as it wasn't permitted. And so I responded, I believe that same day, just saying, no problem, completely understand it with the encroachment agreement with the dock and the insurance liability. I've stopped Airbnb-ing it. I've taken down the listing from Airbnb, and I've canceled any future bookings for the remainder of the year. And so I did everything I could on that piece. And so I just want to make sure living on the water having a dock is a great thing to have. And as I mentioned, it is my primary residence. It wasn't a secondary or third property to generate income, just to help cover increasing costs.
Yeah. No, thank you very much for your comments. Okay, is there anyone else in chamber that wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none, okay, so we'll, I had to find my glasses, sorry. So we will move on. So can we, since they're all identical, are they not, Madam Clerk? So can we deal with 17? To pass them all as one?
Yes, and I would ask other members of staff if it would be okay to just do all of the bylaws at this time, or is there something that requires an address from other members of staff? No, we good? Yeah, okay. So, Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
if you wish, we can do all of
Yes.
the,
That would be
all of the
fantastic.
bylaws together. Okay. So moved by Bard, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that bylaws number 2025-073.
Just one moment.
Councillor
Councillor
Young is
isn't
not here.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, it's no problem.
May I have a seconder? Lavoie? Okay. So moved by Bard, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that bylaws number 2025-073, 080, 081, 082, 087, and 088 be passed in open council on the 10th day of September 2025.
Council-
Sorry.
Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, is it not 073, 080, 081, and 082 that pertain to the encroachments? The 087 and 088 pertain to a different zoning bylaw amendment, not to say that they shouldn't be packaged in, but.
Yeah, so that's why I was referring to staff to see
Okay,
if they could be passed as well, or if they had comments or discussions that needed to occur on them.
okay, and
So
And they said yes.
they said we were good.
did you mention 073? I thought there was one missing, sorry,
Okay, 073, 080,
thank you.
081, 082, 087, and 088.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Okay?
Okay. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Sorry, I have a question from Councillor Shell.
I wish to not vote on 080 because it's a short-term rental
Okay, so we will have to divide
and on
it
that
out.
one, so I have to declare.
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, what we'll do is we will just call the ones that are actually with respect to the encroachment agreements.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, no, but hang on. I just want to, but he's saying B, number B item is.
Oh,
is-
so I
is
have to
saying-
pull this one.
So,
Okay,
Um,
sorry. So we'll pull this one for
we
separate.
can pull B for a separate one, and we'll
Yep.
vote on it first, and then we'll vote on the group.
Okay. So be it resolved that bylaws number 2025-073, 081, 082, 087, and 088 be passed in open council on the 10th day of September 2025.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, and then we have the other one pulled for passage.
May I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Clark, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025 080 Okay. 080 be passed in open council on the 10th day of September 2025.
Okay, heard the motion, call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you. So it's done. Okay? Thank you. We're now on item 11, reports of municipal officers. May we have a draft motion for 11A, please?
Just give me a moment, Mr. Mayor, so I can. Moved by Bard, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that CS 2025-013, Donna Hewitt, Director of Corporate Services, Financial Contributions, External Organizations Policy Amendment, Financial Contribution, External Operations Policy Amendment be received and adopted. That draft POL FIN 12 be adopted as amended, and that policy POL FIN 12, be posted to the township's website and shared with relevant external organizations.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Council, I'll open the floor for any discussions or questions or comments regarding this. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? I see none opposed, so that is carried, and we're now on item 11B. Ms. Hewitt, would you like to provide a summary of comments on this matter, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you'll just bear with me, I will pull the resolution up for council. So as all members of council are aware, we have undertaken a variety of different community engagements over the course of the last at least 2 years, some of those with our residents, some of those with our business community, some of those with our agricultural community. And continually we hear the importance and the need to expand natural gas provision across the municipality. There have been some additional expansions over the course of the last number of years, but there is still a need for our community, whether it's from the business community's perspective or existing residents that don't have access. So the correspondence that was presented to council and the request is that we provide our support to an extension of the programs that have been in play. So we are suggesting that, aligned with our strategies, we would also be sharing our support for continued expansion, particularly in rural sectors such as the township of Oro-Medonte.
Thank you very much. Seems to be the logical thing to do. Is there any comments or questions from council members? Councillor Bard.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So earlier in this year, we did have a discussion about natural gas as being the only option in some of these new subdivisions and taking away that choice for alternative energy options for these new developments. So is there any way that we could put something into this resolution that specifically, I guess, I don't want to say the word challenge, but tries to get more environmentally friendly options? So we need natural gas now, but it would be nice to not handcuff ourselves to it for the next 40, 50 years and future generations. So are we asking the provincial government to subsidize the natural gas companies, in essence, is what I'm asking now?
CAO Benz.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Maybe if I could comment on that, and thanks for that observation and comment, Councillor Bard. We have tailored the resolution to fit Oro-Medonte's needs, as Ms. Hewitt alluded to, specifically the needs of the agricultural and business community here in Oro-Medonte. And you'll note in the last whereas provision, the second last whereas provision, we talk about the need for a mix of different energy sources and the need for innovation to reduce our reliance on carbon intensive fuels. So that's woven into that whereas provision, as well as the point 1 under therefore be it resolved that that council supports the ministry's consultation on the future of natural gas expansion and endorses access to natural gas as an option to other energy solutions to advance our housing, employment, agricultural and environmental stewardship. So we've tried to weave those themes in, that we need to continue with natural gas, but we also need to look towards the future and how we move to less intensive fuels.
Thank you very much for that response. Any other questions at this time? Seeing none, may we have a draft motion, Madam Clerk, for this item?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Shell. Whereas the province has posted ERO 0250923 consultation on the future of community natural gas expansion seeking feedback from municipalities, Indigenous communities, and other stakeholders on how Phase 3 could best support access to natural gas for community development. And whereas expanding access to natural gas is identified as a tool to support affordability and economic growth in Ontario communities, and specifically supports the needs of the township of Oro-Medonte's existing agriculture and business sectors and residential communities as identified by them through numerous consultations and is a priority within our economic development strategy. And whereas the Township of Oro-Medonte is actively supporting the development of new housing and employment growth as defined within the official plan, and recognizes that timely servicing solutions, including natural gas, can help enable this growth. And whereas Ontario's energy future relies on a balance of affordability, reliability, and sustainability by leveraging a mix of energy solutions, including natural gas, electricity, and emerging energy technologies to reduce carbon footprint while meeting growth community needs. And whereas natural gas continues to play a critical role in supporting energy affordability, economic competitiveness, and enabling housing and employment growth across the province. Therefore, be it resolved that Council supports the Ministry's consultation on the future of community natural gas expansion, NGEP Phase 3, and endorses access to natural gas as an option to other energy solutions to advance the Township of Oro-Medonte's housing, employment, agricultural, environmental stewardship, and economic development objectives. Staff submit comments to ERO 0250923, reflecting Oro-Medonte priorities, and that this resolution be forwarded to MPP Downey, MPP Dunlop, the Minister of Education, of Energy and Mines, the Ontario Energy Board, AMO, and neighboring municipalities under the mayor's signature.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments in respect to the motion? And no, the clerk will not be reading it again. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
very well
that.
read. So, okay. No questions or comments. I will call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay, so we are now at reports of municipal officers for information only. There's 3 reports, but I was wondering if Chief Pavement could provide comments in regards to 12B, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So it's my pleasure today to inform Council of a couple of initiatives that our firefighters have embarked on. As Council is well aware, obviously the selfless dedication and commitment to the community brought on by our firefighters seems to be endless. So over the next couple of months, what Council will see throughout the municipality is a couple of very visual and active campaigns that are taking place throughout the municipality. The first campaign that's going to be taking place is the members of Station 3 in Horseshoe Valley have taken it upon themselves to get behind the breast cancer awareness campaign for the month of October and have wrapped Pump 3 in pink. I'm not sure if anybody's had the opportunity to see it yet, but one negative that we have noticed is the neck injuries and the traffic infractions in that general area seem to be highly increased. Even today, just while the truck was sitting out on the apron, there was numerous people that stopped their vehicles and came up and started telling us their stories of how they were personally affected or their family members were affected. The Pink Fire Truck Initiative involves fire trucks that are painted in a bright pink to raise awareness for breast cancer. These vehicles are more than just attention grabbing. They serve as symbols of solidarity with those affected by the disease and are a reminder of the importance of early detection and prevention. So through this initiative, the members of the department are looking to raise awareness, encourage early detection, provide emotional support, and of course, raise funds. Over the next month and a half, they will be embarking on several fundraising initiatives and campaigns to try and spread awareness and raise as much money as they can for the cause. There will be t-shirts for sale, as well as several other fundraising initiatives that they have decided that they will be trying to promote throughout the township. The second of which will be taking place in November, and the focus there will be for men's health. So I'm not sure if anybody has seen the Movember wrapped fire trucks, which would be black in color. But that was brought on by the department at large. So we have representation from all 6 stations partaking in that. And overall, the thought process is very much the same. Obviously, the focus has just changed on the end result. So throughout the 2 initiatives, we've already received 67 of the 105 firefighters that have committed to participating in the cause and trying to raise funds for these 2 charities. And overall, I feel that this is a very, very positive sign of the commitment. A couple of things that are probably worth mentioning is ideally, obviously, it's October. That is Breast Cancer Awareness. However, we thought having the Oro World Fair as a really good launching pad for the pink truck was probably a good idea. So in addition to seeing that truck on display at the parade, we'll also be standing by for the demolition derby and the tractor pulls. With that being said, I would open the floor to any questions that anybody might have.
Council members? Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to Chief Payment. First of all, this is amazing. I'm just thrilled to see that you're doing this. I know probably every single person in this room has been affected by cancer in some form, whether it's women's cancer or men's cancer. So really appreciate that. I do, however, want to caution you about, messing up with traffic on line 4, because that's already a problem for us. So I'm just kidding. But thank you, and to your team for this initiative. I think it also speaks to the morale and the spirit of your firefighting team here in Oro-Medonte to get behind such a terrific endeavor. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a great comment. Councillor Schell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to Fire Chief Paymont. When are the calendars coming out?
Through your worship to Councillor Schell, there certainly was some talk about it, but due to the fact that this was something of a last minute thought process, it was maybe thoughts for next year. Might be council's opportunity to get in there with a fire truck and maybe make a photo shoot for the calendar. So just on one more point too that I would like to mention, this program, or these programs, will not bear any cost to the taxpayer. The wraps themselves have been provided at a very donated cost by some local businesses, but on top of that, sponsorship through area businesses has been secured, and the cost of both wraps has been paid by some advertising on the wraps themselves by area businesses.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, I just want to echo the sentiments expressed by Councillor Hutchison and Mayor Greenlaw. It's tremendous leadership from the top down and from the bottom up, quite frankly. It's fantastic to see this participation by firefighters. They volunteer already. This is just more volunteering. So thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions at this time? No. Thank you very much, Chief Payment. It's great to see your department take the lead on these initiatives that are outside of not just fire safety, but drawing attention to both men and women's health, and getting a message out that, as Councillor Hutchison has said, we all are affected by, at one time in life, it seems, unfortunately, cancer of some force, but those are 2 of the very predominant forms within both men and women. So great leadership from your team and all the leaders on your team. Thank you. Mr. Binns, would you like to provide comments to 12C, please?
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through you to council. Sorry for the late addition. We just received this notice that went out to the public yesterday with respect to the City of Barrie hosting a public meeting as part of the land development facilitation process. So I think for the benefit of council and the public, it's important to provide a little bit of context and background to where we are in this process and where we're going. The process, I think, is certainly council's aware, but for the public, we've been working through a land development facilitation process with the City of Barrie, the Township of Springwater, and the County of Simcoe for well over a year now through the facilitation process. Hempson completed the Stage 2 land needs assessment in late 2024, and that Stage 2 report identified that Barrie requires additional community land to meet its housing needs to 2051. So notwithstanding that it undertook a municipal comprehensive review in 2019, the issue the city is seeing is really the densities that were predicted in 2019 aren't, they don't believe are realizable given some of the market needs. So there is additional land requirements. That Stage 2 assessment also determined that Barrie would require additional employment land to address its post-2051 needs. So that was the starting point at the end of the year in terms of the initial assessment from Hempson. Hempson then embarked on a Stage 3 process to further refine that. There was a memo that was provided through council, and it's available on our website in July, that further refinement identified that Barrie required 500 hectares of developable community land to meet its 2051 needs and 300 hectares of employment land to meet its post-2051 needs. And there was a specific block at 493 that was identified in that July update. So that's where we find ourselves now. We're now working through the facilitation process to look at how best to accommodate those needs within the study area. And Hempson is reviewing 3 options that is part of the facilitation process. It is important to highlight that the land needs assessment, the stakeholder engagement process, and the timeline of September 30th to reach the framework agreement has been directed through the land development facilitation process, and that the township and the other parties to the facilitation process are bound by confidentiality as we work through this process. That being said, what we can say is that Oro-Medonte has adopted guiding principles, including the need for a thorough planning justification and public and stakeholder engagement process, and has attempted to influence the facilitation process with this aim. However, as I mentioned, the process is outside of the township's span of control, and we continue to move forward as a party at the table in the facilitation and negotiations guided by these principles. The public meeting communicated by the City of Barrie now initiates a formal process, and that's a process legislated under the Municipal Act. And this is now Barrie's process. So Barrie is driving this process, and we are working to respond to the proposal provided by the City of Barrie. The City of Barrie's notice does provide the date of September 29th. There are materials that will be provided on the 25th. We're working with the Provincial Land Development Facilitator and our partners in this process to try and have a public information report before council at its meeting on the 24th. So that we can get an update on or provide an update on the process, as well as Hempson's justification and work on the Stage 3 process. In terms of next steps, what will happen on the 29th is Barrie will host that public meeting. The final restructuring proposal will come back before the City of Barrie Council at its next general committee meeting. That will then trigger the process that those agreements get forwarded to the municipalities, and the municipalities would host public meetings. That feedback would be obtained and forwarded back to the City of Barrie. If agreements are reached, they're forwarded to the minister for approval, and there's a prescribed process for that to occur. And if there is no agreement, the minister may impose enact legislation to cause a boundary adjustment. So to sum up, we continue to be party to the negotiations and work towards the greater good of a regional, mutually acceptable and beneficial agreement, which addresses the needs across our respective jurisdictions and region, and be guided by the principles adopted by council. Should the public be interested in more information, we do have a dedicated web page on the township's website that has all of the background reports, the staff reports, the resolutions, and any of the information that has been made public. And I would encourage the public to really get involved and review this. This is a significant undertaking that does change the very nature of our community. And we're looking forward to hopefully getting out and providing additional information at Council's next meeting on the 24th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CAO Benz. Council members, I'll open the table. Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to CAO Benz. Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned that materials will be provided on the 25th. Could you expand on what that is?
Thank you, Councillor Hutchison. The notice from the City of Barrie does identify that information and documentation regarding the process is available on the city's website. The draft restructuring proposal and supporting technical material will be made available on the city's website on September 25th, 2025. So the intent would be that material, and I can't speak for the City of Barrie, but I'm interpreting their notice, that the information would be posted on their website on the 25th, and that would be available for the public to disseminate and provide comment at the public meeting on the 29th.
Supplemental.
So what you're saying is this material is not going to be available for the public until the Thursday before the public meeting on the Monday to review and try and understand.
As communicated by the City of Barrie, that is correct, Councillor.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Schell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to CEO Binns. If we do not meet an agreement, the facilitator is going to make a decision. Has there been any indication how that decision will go? Will it be like, we'll split it down the middle, or we're going to weigh in favor of one side or the other?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Schell. Through you, Mayor Greenlaw. For clarity, it wouldn't be the facilitator. The facilitator is trying to work through a mutually acceptable agreement. It would go back to the minister, and the minister has a number of options in legislation. It could pass legislation that would force annexation, and that could take a number of different shapes and forms. And I also believe that there's other options available to the minister as well to identify how it would proceed. But I don't know the legislation very well. All I can say is that we would be subject to whatever gets imposed at that point in time.
Thank you for that clarity, CEO Benz. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I mean, clearly there's not a lot that can be said, nor is there much that can be disclosed at this point, other than perhaps if you go look at the Springwater website. My only comment would be the calls I've received from the public indicate that they're not clear on the process either. So to the extent that it's available, we'll provide whatever information we can. Particularly the notification doesn't indicate under whose auspices this public meeting is being held. It appears to be at the behest of the Ontario government, but it may be combined with Barrie, I'm not sure. or how it would be reported out thereafter. So all I can say is to the members of the public, participate where you have an interest and you have a statement to make. This is the opportunity to do so, and there'll be more information forthcoming at each of the council meetings in turn between now and then. So I think it's just important that we all stay alert to the upcoming developments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I do agree with you. I think for this to be a very, very high priority within the province with all the tariffs and other concerning matters like homeless and addiction, you know, I don't see why the urgency. The report has said that there is enough land till 2051 of industrial land, and really that's 26 years away. That's not tomorrow, so I don't know what the urgency is. There is an MCR process that could be followed and still be done in ample time. I do apologize to the public for the absence of a lot of public information similar to the process that took place through Aurelia's request for additional lands. There's quite a contrast, but that's something that's out of this council's control. And I think, you know, what Barrie needs is shovel-ready land is what they need. And how much industrial shovel-ready land do they need now? And then that should be addressed, but I don't know what the demand is because I would think if industry of large scale was coming to this area, the county of Simcoe, which is a much larger tier 1 municipality, would have been approached by the same people the city of Barrie would have been approached by. But those are questions I can't answer. All I know is that Oro-Medonte will continue to stay at the table and cooperate as best as possible with the facilitator in making sure that we find the best solution for the region. Because at the end of the day, all I want to make sure is that we position the region and our township up for success without it being at the loss of any of the parties at the table. So is there any other comments in regards to this question? No? Madam Clerk, could we have a motion to receive the 3 items, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that the reports as listed under item number 12, reports of municipal officers for information only, be received.
Any comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. We're now at item 13, reports of and announcements of members of council. Are there any updates from members of council as township representatives with our partners and agencies? Councillor Schell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you to the public. The Heritage Committee will be, myself and Councillor Hutchinson will be at the fair this weekend making book sales, hopefully. Get all of the Heritage books out to the public, so please come out and look for us. Councillor Hutchinson, you have something to say?
Yeah, we'll be in the building, the Heritage Building. That's right behind where the food truck is.
Great, thank you. See everybody there.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Schell. Any other comments or reports at this time? Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, is that next to the Ferris wheel at the fair? No, okay. Just a couple of announcements from the county perspective. First of all, the Township of Clearview has been approached by the Department of National Defense with regard to the annexation of several thousand acres of land for the purpose of a radar receiving site, much like I guess was originally in Guthrie, or excuse me, Edgar many years ago. In this case, though, the transmitter is over in the Kawarthas and the receiver is over in Clearview. And it's over the horizon type of radar, and it's intended for interballistic sensing, interballistic missiles over the Arctic Circle. So anyway, that's a big development on behalf of the Canadian government for Canadian security, and the County of Simcoe and its partner, the Township of Clearview, will be participating in that. Also, Terry Fox Day is September the 14th. So I just wanted to make mention of that. It's an international event, so people have been participating in it for a good 40 years, so something to be aware of. The snowbirds are in Midland on September 10th, which is today, so if you had the opportunity, it was probably a very interesting sight. With that, I'll pass it over to whomever's next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any other items to report at this time? Seeing none, we'll move to the B section. Deputy Mayor Lavoie, would you like to proceed with the comments in regard to the request to support Township of Essa, Clearview, and Wasaga Beach correspondence concerning the way to vote at County Council, please?
Yeah, I think the underlying issue is the matter of democracy. The triple majority, as we've discussed here earlier, was comprised of a vote emanating initially from County Council, which succeeded in garnering enough votes to pass a reduced council of 14 members with a full-time warden. It then passed on to the individual member municipalities who did not pass it by a majority. As a result, it has been passed at the County Council by a numerical minority of councillors to send a letter to the province to have the province make eligible the motion which was turned down by the townships. The townships who opposed it, Essa, Clearview, Wasaga Beach, ourselves, Midland, and 3 or 4 others, in large part, I guess, are not pleased with the notion of asking the province to intervene in a procedure which the province itself has endorsed by virtue of the County of Simcoe Act. So the idea was that the mayors and councils of these 3 member municipalities are asking for our support in sending along to the province a similar letter. The only advisement I would make with regard to this letter is that we do indicate that we support the motion of County Council, but that we declare the reasons the reasons why we voted the way we did at County Council, so that we're not contradicting the nature of County Council's motion itself. So I'm looking to the table to open up the conversation in order to seek that support from this group in order to address the matter that our vote, particularly this municipality's vote, is being potentially, it's being a request to have it overruled. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any other comments regarding the Deputy Mayor's? Councillor Hutchison?
Sorry. Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to Deputy Mayor Lavoie. I'm just curious as to why these are going individually. Would it not have been, I'm not sure, but would it not have been somewhat more effective for those who voted against this to just compile that information and send it in one instead of sending it to, I'm just kind of questioning if the process could have been done more efficiently.
I certainly agree that it might have. I can only offer the comment that these parties went ahead and did it individually, and so this is the situation that we have presently before us. There was some discussion, between members of the council, and this is the way they decided to go, and they wanted to express it, I think, on their own letterhead, which again also has some value. There may be parties who are reluctant because the matter could be contentious within their own councils, and for whatever reason, they don't want to press the point. And I will say, quite frankly, one of the reason it started, the first vote, which was a recorded vote, the reason that the party called for the recorded vote was because the member at County Council calling it said that they didn't want their projects to be denied by the province. So there is an element of fear at the municipalities with respect to how the province will behave if they're not seen in the appropriate light, or what they perceive could be the appropriate light.
Okay, thank you very much for those comments. And just to add a little bit of color, like this has been a lengthy process. It's taken up a multiple number of meetings. And we find ourselves where we are, as there was an off-ramp along the way that if they would consider when a weighted vote could be used, because the weighted vote was used to bring this back after it was defeated the first time around. And they doubled down rather than being open-minded and saying, okay, what is the best path forward? And they ended up losing that. So now they're using the weighted vote to get a letter to the minister to engage in a process. I believe I'm a firm, very firmly stand that, if the process is broken, then amend the process. Don't just use overpowering advantages or exploitations that can change the process upon each individual item that comes forward. So, I think they had a chance to change this. I think we will likely change the way to vote policy moving forward, whether it'll be this term or next term. But I think, it was too much being shoved through a small pipe at once rather than breaking it into pieces between the full-time warden, the composition of county council. But we find ourselves where we are, and we will find our way out of the box. So, okay, Madam Clerk, can we have a motion, please, to this item? Sorry, Councillor Bard, did you have a comment? No. Okay, sorry. The motion, please, Madam Clerk.
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the correspondence from Township of Essa and Clearview and Town of Wasaga Beach, and presented by Deputy Mayor Lavoie, request for support of correspondence of concerns regarding weighted vote and council composition in Simcoe County be received. That the Township of Oro-Medonte supports the said correspondence presented regarding the recent process followed by Simcoe County Council in its discussions on altering the composition of County Council. That correspondence be forwarded accordingly under the Mayor's signature.
Thank you very much. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. We're now at the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull any of the consent agenda items to consider a change in the staff recommendation? Seeing none, are there any comments that anyone wants to make on any of these items? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may we have a motion to receive the consent agenda?
Moved by Schall, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the staff recommendations with respect to the items listed under consent agenda correspondence be adopted as printed.
All in favor? That is carried. Mr. Binns, I understand you have a preliminary discussion with the City of Orillia. Would you like to provide an additional background material regarding this under item 15A of communication, please?
Thank you, Mayor Green. Staff have had initial discussions with the City of Orillia, and I just wanted to provide some additional background just for context. This was initiated by the City of Orillia as part of their budget process, and really what we've been informed from the city is that Oro-Medonte residents account for just under 20% of all of the recreation usage in recreational programming. at the city. According to the city, that is resulting in a $380,000 a year annual subsidy, and that's their direct operating costs. We haven't seen the detailed breakdown on that, but just preliminary notes from our initial discussion, and that only 46% of the use is actually City of Orillia. So the city is pursuing these agreements with all of the municipalities that are using their facilities. We did clarify that the scope wouldn't apply to clubs, for example, minor hockey and different groups that have participants from other areas. Their policy is that Orillia residents need to account for 80% of the players. How that's ever tracked is pretty difficult. I think it's a self-reporting exercise, but that's certainly not, I think, the scope of this. What the city's looking to do is enter into an agreement with the municipalities to recover that $380,000 subsidy. That's a fairly significant ask for the municipalities. A 1% that's almost the equivalent of a 2% increase here in Oro-Medonte, just solely with Orillia, and our residents certainly access service in Barrie and Midland and in other jurisdictions, as residents from those areas access service in Oro-Medonte. So that fee is looking to be imposed as of May the 1st, 2026. If there isn't an agreement, then the City of Orillia would be imposing a fee on non-residents, and that fee would be whatever the fee for the program is in the city plus a 50% surcharge. So I just wanted to provide the background on the scope of the ask, and certainly staff. The resolution is that staff continue to have discussions with the city, and that'll be part of our budget discussions and subject to a future report for council's consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Binns. I'll open the table for questions or comments. Councillor Schell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through you to Mr. Binns. How, for the public information, what do they have to bring with them when they go to the Orillia to use the facilities?
Thank you, Councillor Schell. I'll maybe just try and we're trying to understand the information that's been provided to us by the city. Certainly, we want to have a look at that and understand their assumptions. I'm assuming that they're pulling the addresses from their database. So when people register for a program, they have to provide their address, and that provides their confirmation. So I'm assuming that's where the information is coming from. How this rolls out in May, so the date that this fee would come into place, if there isn't an agreement, isn't until May 1st of 2026. So they've given us some time to work through the process, and that's where we find ourselves now. The implementation details of what may be required kind of moving forward, they're not there yet. It's simply a review of their utilization. They've identified some concern with subsidization, and we're working through the process to respond to what's on the agenda today.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure there are people out there who would like to just ask that question for them. Thank you.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Well, first of all, I'm very grateful to hear that Oro-Medontans are so active. Secondly, does the city receive anything by way of grants or subsidies from the provincial government in order to fund their recreational activities? Because if they do, it would seem to me that as a region, although we're not a regional government, we ought to be taking the approach that what's good for those who live in Orillia is good for those who live in Oro-Medonte. If we both use the same facilities, since replicating the infrastructure is not an efficient way to go. Nor is it fair to make people who live in Oro-Medonte pay more for the same thing if the province is assisting and subsidizing it. And I guess, we don't want to get into a war over their using our resources in any way. So I guess maybe perhaps when the opportunity arises at the next meeting or whatever the nature of the calculation is that led to this $380,000 would be helpful to understand, and whatever inputs go into supporting their recreational infrastructure. So thank you very much.
CEO Binns, a response?
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to the deputy. Good comments, deputy. I think on the issue of subsidization, or government grants to subsidize operations. Potentially, maybe depending on the program, I would say that it would be non-material, likely on the direct operating cost. Certainly, maybe through infrastructure programs on the capital cost of facilities, but the 380,000 that has been reported to us is just direct operating costs of the facility, not considerations of capital or asset renewal. But I think the comments on regional facilities and how we work together as a region for those major facilities, certainly the city draws the economic benefits of those people participating in the city. There's all of those they're tangible items, but they're hard to tangibilize and hard to measure. And I mean, this is something that we went through with the city of Orillia with the Orillia Library a number of years ago. It does come up quite often, and again, we'll continue to work through it. We do have master plans that talk about kind of regional facilities. That's always been, I think, something that we've really looked at in Oro-Medonte with our lands in Guthrie for a regional sportsplex to deal with outdoor facilities, and had those discussions with Barrie and Orillia. But what we do in Orillia, we really need to look at both sides of the township, because we're so geographically spread out. We can't just solely rely on one area that to provide equitable provision of service. It needs to be more holistic, including what we provide here.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because there is value to partnerships, and we see where it does work with libraries and stuff like this. So there are some partnerships I do see the value, and I do appreciate Orillia reaching out to give us this potential partnership to consider. But we have to do our analysis. I guess I would ask a question would be, does Oro-Medonte or does our arena charge more for people that don't live in the township versus when it's a private rental?
Mayor Greenlaw, we don't for any of our programs. The administration for something like that would almost be impossible, to be quite honest. So I mean, I think that's probably part of the reason the city hasn't really done anything more on that side. But I think at some point in time, it does make sense when you're looking at even first right of access for programs that are in high demand, that if those programs are being subsidized by the taxpayers, that those taxpayers have first right of refusal for those programs.
Yeah. There's the other side of the coin, which says if they price themselves out of the market, they'll go out elsewhere, or they just won't partake in those programs. This is the unfortunate thing. But I think we got to look at this from the positive aspect that really is reaching out to say, here's a potential partnership we would like to present to you for your residents and staff. As we continue to have discussions with them, hopefully we'll make a decision when a report comes back between now and May of 2026. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, to go back to your comment on capital, when these infrastructure projects are undertaken, I'm certain they must have some capacity calculations. So certainly Orillia must have, in that capital infrastructure design, have incorporated how many residents it was intended to service. So If it's too large for its municipality, that could be a concern. But I mean, it ought to be recognized that however they arrived at the capacity, where is it in relation to that capacity, and how do we then distinguish which resident gets which right to that capacity? Anyway.
Well, and I'm also sure, Deputy, that when they do the analysis on that before they build the building, they also build into it that they will be drawing people from other townships into that facility. That would be part of the calculation. So I don't think it's a surprise. I think they're looking for a way to hopefully try to offset their budget and operations of the facility in a more economical manner for the residents in the tax base of the city of Orillia. But you know what, like I said, appreciate that Mayor McIsaac as always has reached out to make us a part of anything as well with his city. Is there any other questions at this time? If not, Madam Clerk, may we have a motion?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the correspondence dated August 12, 2025, from City of Orillia Environmental and Infrastructure Services Department re non-resident usage surcharge recreation funding agreement be received, and that council directs staff to hold discussions with the City of Orillia and report back to council with recommendations.
Okay. Thank you very much. All in favor? That is passed. And may we have a motion for 15B, the Couchiching OPP detachment report?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the correspondence dated August 29th, 2025 from Couchiching OPP Detachment Board Administrative Assistant be received, that the matter be referred to staff for a report back to council.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments on this item at this point? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Against? That is passed. There are no notice of motions. We have done 17. So we are now at closed session. So may we have a motion to go into closed, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that we do now go into closed session at 4:08 p.m. to discuss litigation affecting the municipality, solicitor-client privilege, short-term rentals, a procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, intermunicipal relationships, City of Barrie, intermunicipal relationships, City of Orillia, labor relations, employee negotiations, performance management.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? As carried, we will go to closed session and come back to report out shortly. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Welcome back. Could we have a motion to rise and report out from close, please?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that we do now rise at 6:45 p.m. and report on the closed session items B, C, D, and E.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for item 18B, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence presented by Sean Bin, CAO, Brent Spagnell, Director of Development Services, George Vadaboncourt, Manager Planning Special Projects, and Legal Counsel, re Solicitor Client Privilege, litigation affecting the municipality, short-term rentals, be received, and that staff and legal counsel proceed as directed by council.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for 18C, please?
I'm just replacing Councillor Young. Moved by Bard, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that the confidential verbal information presented by Sean Binns, CAO, re a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, intermunicipal relationships, City of Barrie, be received. That the Provincial Land Development Facilitator and Hempson Consulting be requested to provide a public update at the September 24th, 2025 meeting of council.
All in favor? That is carried, and we have a motion for 18D, please.
Moved by Clark, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence presented by Sean Binns, CAO, re a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, intermunicipal relationships, City of Orillia, be received, and that staff proceed as directed by council.
All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. And may we have a motion for 18E, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, second by Shell. Oops, sorry. Be it resolved that the confidential verbal information presented by Sean Binns, CAO, re labor relations, employee negotiations, performance management be received, that staff proceed as directed by council.
All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a motion for the confirmation bylaw, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-090, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, be passed in open council on the 10th day of September 2025.
All in favor? That is carried. And before we call adjournment, just want to remind everybody that this weekend is the Oro World Fair. Friday night's the tractor and truck pull, and it will conclude Saturday afternoon with the Crash'em Derby. So come out and enjoy a great weekend at a traditional agricultural fair. 171st. It's been around for 173.
Yeah.
So, anyways, may we have a motion for adjournment, please, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 6:49 p.m.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, everybody. And the parade starts at 1 o'clock Friday afternoon.